Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Colleges That Change Lives virtual days, and thank you for joining us for tonight's presentation. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see you or hear you, so please feel free to use the Q&A widget. This is just one of many different sessions happening throughout the next few days, so please be sure to sign up for any additional sessions if they're of interest to you. And this presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at the same website where you submitted your initial registration. Now, I'm pleased to turn it over to our presenters.
Hello and good evening. I'm going to get our presentation up for us, and then we can go ahead and do some introductions. Y'all should be seeing the screen by this point. My name is Rebecca Rother. I'm an Associate Director of Admission at Southwestern University in Georgetown, Texas. So Tim, would you like to introduce yourself next?
Yeah, hello everybody. My name is Tim Bianco and I'm an Assistant Professor of Economics at Allegheny College. I'm also the co-director of the Bruce R. Thompson Center for Business and Economics.
Hello, I'm Linda Clune. I'm the Senior Associate Director in the Admissions Office at Allegheny College, which is located in Meadville, Pennsylvania, in the northwest corner of the state.
I'm Jadika Sihi. I teach at Southwestern University, so I work with Rebecca. I am the chair of the Economics and Business Department, and I'm so excited to welcome you all to this session.
Hi. As we begin the conversation about not having a School of Business, we thought it would be important to highlight some of the characteristics of research universities and also liberal arts universities. Basically, the research universities, typically, professors focus on research, and that is how they are tenured, and you are more likely to be taught by graduate students in your classes. Your classes are typically large, and also typically when you apply to the college, to a research or comprehensive university, you apply directly to a certain school of business or school of engineering or school of liberal arts versus applying to the overall school. And also you're applying directly to a specified major oftentimes. So they offer more specialized focus majors, like maybe a finance major or accounting major if you're thinking about business. Faculty are often more prominently known in their fields as well. And your really specific skills are being taught because you are being taught to go into a specific job, like I said, like an accounting, an accountant. Also at large research facilities or larger research facilities are had at comprehensive universities. And also, you know, outside of the academic arena, there's oftentimes a greater number of student organizations. However, sometimes they're very specified with who can be a part of those organizations.
Fantastic. And I can get technology to work. We also want to talk about liberal arts institutions. Probably one of the reasons that you're here this evening, right? You came to Colleges That Change Lives. Most of us are going to fall under the liberal arts colleges and universities. And so we really think that we are going to have that focused undergraduate experience for you. Most of us are smaller in size. For example, Southwestern is about 1,500. Linda, how large is Allegheny?
1,800.
So less than 2,000. So for some of you could be smaller than your high schools, but that is something that we find to be unique and wonderful. And you'll hear from our faculty how that allows our students to really have that interaction. And we also are going to talk a little bit about each of our institutions this evening. You got to be here. We're presenting. We figured you should know a little bit about how we do the liberal arts. And it does differ between each of our institutions, and it will across all liberal arts institutions. But they're often going to be more about breadth and depth rather than individual things, and more of that life preparation rather than career preparation. So really thinking about what is your future going to hold? How many jobs, how many areas of study are you going to be using throughout your lifetime rather than just simply, I know how to do one thing. And we also know that there's going to be a lot of opportunity for engagement and leadership. So while you saw on the last slide, some larger research-based institutions may have more clubs, there may also be less opportunity to take on that leadership role if there's more students involved in those organizations. Other benefits could include not having any competition from graduate students. So we think that's pretty important because as you'll meet our amazing, wonderful professors tonight as they present, right? They're the ones who are going to work with you. You aren't going to have graduate students teaching you in place of these guys. And you're also going to have that diverse skill set that is going to make it really valuable, as I mentioned earlier. One of the things that we always say at Southwestern is that our average student who graduates from college nowadays has jobs throughout their lifetime, and a lot of times it's complete career changes. And so the arts model is really about how can we make sure that you're prepared for your first job, but also for your 12th job. And I've been joking the last 6 months, we had no idea what to expect 6 months ago, right? And so a liberal arts degree is really preparing students for the next 6 months and the next time something crazy like this happens and we don't know where we're headed. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Linda to speak a little bit about Allegheny and their approach to the liberal arts.
Yeah, so our approach to liberal arts is very interdisciplinary. I always like to describe our liberal arts curriculum as being very directive, but also having a lot of flexibility. You can see that the programs are offered and within 4 different divisions in the natural sciences, social sciences, humanities, and we also have a growing interdivisional division as well. And with that, that is a combination, all the courses within the interdivisional majors or minors are a combination taking from the humanities, natural sciences, and the social science area. We do not have a core curriculum, or what many refer to it as gen eds. So our students can come in and take courses right away that are of interest to them or that they're curious about. As you can see, there are many indicated within the Venn diagram that you probably have not had any exposure to in your high school curriculum. So if you're someone interested in the sciences, you can come in and start taking a neuroscience class right away, or a biochemistry class, or you know, something that you've never had an opportunity to take, a classical studies class, or someone that's interested in physics but also loves music, you can do that as well. You declare by the end of your second semester of your second year, so you have a lot of time to explore throughout our curriculum as well. And we believe that the curriculum is really great for our still deciding students, which hopefully there are many of you out there that are keeping open minds, even though you might be interested in business, and that's why you're thinking about, you know, you're tuning in tonight. But you're also, we require that you have a major and a minor in 2 different divisions. So you have to cover 2 of the 4 circles that you see in the Venn diagram. And that's why I like to indicate our majors and minors within this, this diagram. And about 60% of our students are a double minor, which I think is really interesting. So for instance, if you're thinking about business, you know, say you're thinking about advertising, you might actually have an intersection of business, communication, and psychology, for instance. So it feeds really well into that interdisciplinary focus so that you can pursue what you really love, even if it doesn't look like it goes together. But then you can also look at the same thing from different perspectives. Another part of our curriculum, and really with the major minor, and all of the other things that you must take at Allegheny, it takes about 2.5 years for all of this throughout your 4 years. But the one thing I love about our curriculum is that you're always intersecting and taking different courses throughout your 4 years. It doesn't just stop at the end of your second year once you declare a major. We also offer you an opportunity to have seminars in your first year and sophomore years in order to really concentrate on the skills that are so important for any job preparation or career preparation, your written expression skills, your speaking, and your research. And we do that in many different ways throughout the first year and sophomore years. And then you also have to take one course in each of the distribution categories that are indicated on the screen. And that gives, again, students a lot of flexibility, even though we're directive in making sure that they touch each of these very important skills. But for instance, someone that doesn't want to necessarily take math, they might be very interested in psychology, and they can take a psychology stats class, and that will fulfill their quantitative reasoning. Exploration through the specialized career paths, instead of you having a finance, say for instance, a degree, you're doing that throughout your undergraduate research, your study abroad, your internships, and service that you might do. That's found in the Gateway. And of course, Tim, my colleague, will talk a lot more about that when it's his turn to talk. But really, that's where you will apply what you're learning in the classroom and really better understand your pathway within that major area and what may lead to your first job. And also we have a senior capstone course that is our senior comprehensive project that you propose it, you conduct it, you defend it, and it's a creative way that you can really dive deep within your major area. And our students also defend their senior comprehensive as well. Many publish, and also many go to national conferences to present those as well. And basically it's a way that you can capstone what you've learned inside your major, but also all of those skills, your written skills, your critical thinking skills, that really all liberal arts colleges are trying to make sure that you have a better confidence in at the end of your 4 years. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Fantastic. I'm going to spend just a few minutes kind of talking about Southwestern and our version. A lot of what Linda said is absolutely the same for us, so I'm not going to repeat most of what she said. I think you'll find if you're going to a number of the Colleges That Change Lives presentations, that a lot of us have similar values and similar things that we'd like to teach our students. There's just differences as well. The location is a big difference, right, if you want to be in Pennsylvania or Texas, but also important to think about just little differences here. First thing I pulled up was just our majors and minors. We do not require that a student take a major and minor. We do have the opportunity to do that if you want. We also have a lot of students who will double major, major and double minor, double major and minor, a couple students who are triple majoring. Don't know that I recommend that, and Davika's probably like, yes, please don't do that to me, but we will work with you if that's a route that you want to go, and we are happy to see you do that across the disciplines. Also, the way that our curriculum is set up, I love to share that this is how you'll spend all of your time in class in these 3 sections. So the first section is going to be your major. You'll spend about 1/3 of your time in that major. And so you also, for us, don't have to declare that until the end of your sophomore year. Obviously, if you're here tonight, you're probably thinking business, and you're welcome to jump into that at the beginning, meet our amazing business faculty, see what they're like. And you know what, if they aren't your cup of tea, you can change your mind, and that's okay. We know that you might have an idea, or you might fall in love with a different professor and say, maybe I'll do business as a minor. Perfectly okay. You're not going to hurt anyone's feelings if you change your mind. Then you will see we do have a general education curriculum. You can see fine arts, humanities, natural sciences, and social sciences. Every student will take a course in one of these areas. It's not expressly said it must be this math class or this English class. You get to choose what you'd like. You also will see language. So we do ask for 3 semesters of second language. Every student on our campus is asked to take a social justice course. Social justice courses can be given throughout the curriculum now. Our faculty are teaching them in all the divisions. And then finally, 2 half-semester fitness courses. So we want to keep you active. We want to keep you moving. You could take yoga. You could take bowling. You could take basketball. There's a lot of different possibilities for you. And then the last third of our curriculum is intentionally left open-ended to say, what is it that you care about? And this is where a lot of our students will put in that double major or that minor, or maybe you decide that business is the major, but you also want to do pre-med or pre-law. That's totally something that we can work with you on this last third of electives. So different space that students can fill. You will have an academic advisor that you start with over the summer, and you'll have somebody working with you every single semester. So you don't need to worry about the sort of generalness of the curriculum. You'll have somebody to make sure that you are in fact filling the things. I think that's a big scare for some students of like, how am I going to get all of these credits done and how am I going to know if they're done? You're going to have a lot of support, especially as we talked about earlier at a liberal arts school where your faculty really know you one-on-one. And then finally, a hallmark of the Southwestern education that I'd be remiss not to talk about is our Paideia program. So Paideia is an ancient Greek word you don't need to memorize, but basically what it means is informed citizen. And so we really at Southwestern believe in that interdisciplinary study, and we have a fancy name for it. And what it is that it is an opportunity, as you can see here on the screen, to mix and match all of your pieces so that you're looking at, okay, my business major, but how does that also connect to my fine arts class? How does that connect to my fitness class? And then you can also put in your elective classes, your high impact learning experiences. All of it links together. And while that sounds very similar to a lot of other liberal arts schools, I think one of the really cool and unique factors of the Paideia program is that it is spearheaded by our faculty. So Devika is going to speak a little bit about experiences in general for business, and then also a little bit about Southwestern, and I'm sure she will tell us a little bit about the Paideia program and how that looks. But I think it's really great because our faculty have really said, we don't want to be siloed in our own areas. We want to hear about what our students are doing in other areas. So we want our fine arts student to talk in business class about their theater class, rather than in high school where a lot of times you go to English and then you go to math and then you go to social studies and your teacher's like, I don't care what you did in math, I'm an English teacher. Whereas our faculty are gonna say, yeah, tell me what else you did. And that's really baked into the heart of what we do at Southwestern with the intentionality of the Paideia program. So that's our very quick recap of our schools. I know Allegheny had their session earlier today. Southwestern's is tomorrow if you'd like to hear more information. And then we'll be doing this all again in October. If you missed the Allegheny session, please join us then for that. And I'm gonna turn it over to our amazing faculty peers so that they can tell us more about the business programs.
Thank you, Rebecca. And I know that you and Linda did a great job with this already, so I'm not going to repeat anything. You can leave it on that slide, but I'll probably move forward pretty quickly. So a lot of questions that students ask me, especially when they're visiting from high school, and I think it's a great question, is just kind of the logistical differences when you're applying. And I know that you all are either in that state or maybe in that state in a year. So I wanted to make sure that we address that. So if you're applying to a business school, so think of University of Maryland, they have a Robert H. Smith School of Business. There's often an application to that business school. So there's the criteria at the university level, but also at the business school level. For most of the institutions that you'll talk to at the CTCL, that's not the case. You will apply to the school at the university itself. There's a number of criteria, and then often you pick your major. There's not another hurdle. Some schools may look at your core courses, like how did you do in your first math course and accounting course, and then there might be a sort of cutoff point. But again, that varies by school, and by and large, there's not a second application. The other part that high school students often ask me about, another great question, is what if I'm really passionate about finance? Can I do that in both places? Well, absolutely, and your ability to specialize, because that's what a major is, it's just different in how you do it. So at a business school, you will be tracked and you will probably be a finance major. As you've seen from both the presentations, the track in either of the CTCL schools presented here is you can take lots of upper level finance classes. You're not limited, but you also have that part of your curriculum that you dictate. So what we find is students specialize, but in different ways. So if you're going into finance now, you're probably going to be faced with a market where so much of the trades are automated. So it may be really useful for you to complement your finance courses with computer science. And so many of our students will do that across these institutions. So you are becoming specialized, but it's not through a major specific, it's through intentionally exploring what courses make sense for the problems that you want to solve in your career. In the middle of my little Venn diagram are the things that are available to both. You will find courses in different areas of business, and Tim's going to talk a little bit about his school also, that are available at the research schools as well as the CTCL schools. High impact experiences. That is a fancy word for things like study abroad. High impact experiences also include faculty mentored research, and Rebecca made such a great point. At most of the CTCL schools, there are not PhD students or MBA students or master's students. So I do research with undergraduate students, and I love working with them, and so do all the other faculty. We have undergraduates in their second or third year are presenting at national conferences, are co-authors on peer-reviewed publications. You may not decide that you want a career in academia, but it's so great to go through that research process, because what it tells you is, how do I solve a problem? How do I think about a research design? How do I collect data? And those types of experiences will be useful to you in whatever career or grad school you pursue. And then the third question I get asked often a lot, do your graduates find jobs? They find jobs in a lot of the same organizations. They also find jobs that are a little bit creative because they have so much exploration built into their curriculum. And we'll talk about that in a few slides. I think that's all for this slide though. I'm happy to answer questions about any of this when we get to the Q&A session. So the second big concern, and a legitimate concern that sometimes comes up in all college visits, is I need to be able to go to grad school after this or get a job. So are the things that you're doing in the classroom or outside the classroom going to help me build those skill sets? Absolutely. There's a lot of lists. There's LinkedIn's list of the skills employers are looking for. There's Forbes list. What we rely a lot at universities is NACE. That's the National Association of Colleges and Employers. They put together a list talking to both colleges and seeing what they're doing at their universities, but also talking to employers and seeing where are those connections that make sense. So things that have been important across the past decade are critical thinking skills. Can you take a problem maybe that you have no familiarity with and find out a solution or a new way to solve it that's more efficient? Written and oral communication skills. These are baked into the curriculum at most of the CTCL schools. You'll find there's a lot of writing, there's a lot of analytical thinking. Sometimes students think analytical thinking equals quantitative reasoning. That's one way of analytical thinking, but there's lots of ways to approach a program. So it's in your different classes, but you'll also find initiatives. At Southwestern, we have something called the King Creativity Program. It is one of the coolest programs I've been privileged to be a part of. Students apply every year, and they have to solve a visionary or innovative problem. What does that mean? It's so broad. Well, that's why it's broad, because they want students to think about what are big problems and how can you solve them. To give you an example, we've had business students who worked on projects with art students about using reclaimed material for fashion to get rid of the fast fashion concept. We had students who you see featured there, two of my favorite students, who worked on a problem that they identified in the athletic training center at our school. They identified a bottleneck and actually built a prototype to try and figure out, could we make this faster? What's nice is all of these skills help students uncover that a lot of the big problems in society are not really siloed just by discipline. It requires that broader view that connects back to this curriculum that allows for exploration. On the right, I won't spend too much time, we have study abroad programs. Lots of schools have study abroad programs. I know they're fun, they're fantastic. I think a difference though in some of the CTCL schools is our size. So the programs that we have are led by our faculty, and they're usually anywhere between 15 to 25 students. The faculty are involved, so you still get to do lots of things on your own and travel, but they actually create experiences that help you connect with what you're doing in the classroom here, what you're learning there, and think about how are you going to use this experience later on, whether you're going to grad school. The faculty are also fun. They go Paideia tasting together. They like do lots of fun things while they're there. They went to a soccer match last time and saw Barcelona play. So that close-knit experience translates and helps students kind of take all these different experiences and intentionally think about what are the connections. Then my last slide before I turn it over to the very distinguished Professor Bianco is just talking about some of the fun things, some of the outcomes from Southwestern, because it's nice to talk about all the programming, but I know you're probably curious, so what happens to these students? What do they actually do? So I have some of my favorite students on this slide. I don't want to mention their names because I'm not sure if they want it, but on the left-hand side is someone representing SU Live. So I'm a co-director for the Lab for Innovative Ventures and Entrepreneurship. It's a long name for an entrepreneurship lab. What we realized from King Creativity is our students are amazing and they develop great ideas. They develop great products. They start nonprofit organizations. We're sort of the other side of that. Now that you have this great idea or prototype, how do you build a business plan around it? How do you think about how to get that first round of financing? How do you think about how much debt you should take on, or if you should take on debt at all? So SU Live gives students the opportunity. It is out of the business department. However, we have students who come and take the lab from physics, from art. So it's a really great way, again, where students are seeing that a lot of the big problems require people from all different areas in thinking about how your degree fits in there. We see those connections in what they choose to participate in. We have students who participate in things like the Up to Us conference, which is a national organization that focuses on the growing in national debt. So we've had political science students, physics students, and business students work together to do an Up to Us conference. Again, helping them see how does business really fit in the larger society? And then how can we use what we know from our other classes to try and shape the conversation around national debt? And then in terms of jobs, there are students who are working as revenue analysts, very finance focused at American Airlines. We have students who work as marketing digital analysts at IBM. The coolest job by far, and this is my own personal bias because I like to eat. We had a student who was a business economics major and loved food. She studied abroad and her particular passion was cheese. So she worked at Whole Foods as a pricing analyst for a while, loved it, but then pivoted and became their cheese buyer or one of their cheese buyers. If you didn't know, there's a world national conference on cheese and you go and you try. I realize this sounds like a nightmare if you're lactose intolerant, but for a lot of people, a very interesting job. So all of that to say that they end up doing some pretty cool things with their breadth and their knowledge. It's a lot of information that I tried to pack into 4 minutes. If you have questions later, please ask me, but I'm happy to turn it over now to Dr. Bianco.
Thank you so much, Tabika. Thank you everybody for joining us tonight. I'm really excited to take a few minutes to share a little bit about studying business in a liberal arts setting. So one of the ways that liberal arts colleges will differ from research institutions is the ability to study business. And not all liberal arts colleges in general even offer business as a major. We've had a lot of successful alumni here at Allegheny College, which is where I am a professor. And what we have found is that our graduates tend to be very successful in business, which is very important. So on the first point here, I have that from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, recently they projected that employment in business will add about 600,000 new jobs per year over the next 8 years. Now, admittedly, this was pre-COVID-19 pandemic. So these numbers may be slightly skewed, but 4 years from now, I'm pretty confident that that number will be rather accurate. So there's going to be many jobs that are going to be out there in the coming years. And so what type of workers are these businesses going to be looking for? So in this article by The Atlantic, it says that businesses want workers who have the ability to think, the ability to write, the ability to understand the cultural and historical context of whatever business decisions they're making. If I could take the liberty here and say that I think they're looking for students with a liberal arts background. The world as we know it is going to change. I think that in the same way, where I think about my grandfather, who was a little boy during the Great Depression, that a lot of what he went through during the Great Depression went with him the rest of his life. Or I think the younger generation now, going through this current pandemic, that's going to shape a lot of their future as well. So the fact that we have this new world that we are entering now, there's going to be some things that are changing permanently, such as more remote work, new sets of skills that are going to be necessary. So finding the right fit is going to be very important. Now, whether you're interested in a research institution, perhaps one with big name recognition. I think about Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame, something along those lines. Well, that's perfectly fine for a lot of individuals, but I have a hunch, if you're tuning in here, that you're probably a little more interested in the liberal arts setting. So just be honest with yourself. What is it that you're looking for? Is it geography? Is it the faculty? Is it the rigor of the program? All of those are important, okay? So a lot of the outcomes that we've had for students here at Allegheny is, well, they will go and they would get placed in jobs in business, whether that be in banking or finance, or if it's more broad in economics, maybe data analysis or working for government or going on to graduate school. All those things may not be on your radar at this point, and that's perfectly fine. And to be honest, that's the beauty of a liberal arts institution like Allegheny. You get the ability to find out what it is that you like, what it is that you do not like, both equally as important. So one of the ways that the liberal arts colleges can set themselves apart is, well, one of the ways that we do it at Allegheny is we have something that we call the Bruce R. Thompson Center for Business and Economics, of which I am the co-chair. And this is housed within the economics department. And we call ourselves the home for skills-based and applied student experiences that reinforce what students learn in the classroom. There's a million ways to learn things, but we feel that a learning by doing and a learning by doing specifically with real world applications are very important when it comes to finding a job. I'll just go through really quick about a few of the things that students can gain from interacting with the Center for Business and Economics. The first one is near and dear to my heart. My background is in finance and economics. So we have a Bloomberg lab, which is, I'm actually teaching this class tomorrow, a training course in it where students will take a class with a professor such as myself, and they'll get certified in using a Bloomberg terminal, which is pretty much what is used exclusively in finance and in government for data analysis in finance and economics. So they'll get practical hands-on experience to use those, which will really translate into great skills for an internship or for a job upon graduation. We also have a very successful lunchtime learning lecture series where we will bring in economics and business people, either that are affiliated with the college, as in they graduated, or they're friends of the college. And the mentoring that those speakers do for the students is just spectacular. Every year, at least in normal years, we also have these major city trips where we will go and visit certain parts of the country. The most recent one we did was to Cleveland, my hometown, which I was really excited about. We went and visited quite a few successful business alumni that are in the area toward the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland. We'll be going there virtually this year, which is not quite the same thing, but we have plans in the future to go to Washington, D.C., Chicago, New York. We also have, of course, experiential learning, jobs and internship opportunities. This is one of the ways that liberal arts colleges differ, I think, from research institutions, is we get such such satisfaction and a benefit out of our students and their internships, their job placements. We are almost as excited about their outcomes as the students are themselves. Each of our students has an advisor, so there's this advisor relationship where you get to know each and every single student. And of course, individuals like myself, we have a really good idea of the alumni that are able to, and the type of students that they're looking for. And it's really nice that we can kind of be that in-between person that's really looking for what the employees are looking for. And hey, these are some students that we think would be a great fit. Really quickly, we also have a board of visitors, which is an advisory group of successful business people, people in government that are from Allegheny College. They come every year and they do this mentoring with students and also with the faculty as well on the curriculum, and then just skills in general. Executive roundtable, which is where the whole college will get together and we'll have this large roundtable on an important topic that was virtual this last year, this coming year. We're looking forward to doing that. We also have some CBE Fellows, which are students that will work with us directly, and on the next slide, I'll talk a little bit more about them. But if we could go back just one more thing. The last two here are really exciting. So we have about $25,000 in prizes that we offer every year to the Big Idea competition and the Financial Literacy Challenge. So students have the ability to, in the Big Idea competition, to present a business idea. If you've ever seen the show Shark Tank, it's a lot like that, where you will go and you will pitch some idea, and of course you'll go, into the Shark Tank and you'll hear from the judges exactly what it is that your project is, and try to make sure that you really have a good big idea. So we give $20,000 away for that, and then $5,000 for a financial literacy challenge as well. So now we can go to the next slide. These are some of the CBE Fellows, which are some of the most motivated, some of the strongest students that we have in business and economics. Currently, we have 3 business and 3 economics students that are CBE Fellows. One of them was Emma Black. She graduated last year, this past spring. She says, being a CBE Fellow gave me the opportunity to expand upon my relationships in the department with professors and students, which in my 4 years at Quigley Hall, which is where we are at Allegheny College, much more meaningful. I was also able to improve my networking, public speaking, and event planning skills alongside with other fellows who made the experience so enjoyable. And these are some of our recent fellows that have graduated and received employment. They are learning skills, how to work in a team, in a business setting. And those skills translate very, very well. So we bring in a new crop every year, and this year is equally as impressive as it has been in previous years. So this is another way that students can get involved in our department. And then my final slide is just some of the alumni that we've had on campus. I won't read through all of them, of course, but the whole point here I want to make is our alumni are so eager, and I think this is true for a lot of liberal arts colleges, are so eager to pay it back, to pay it forward. They are on the phone with us constantly, sending emails to us constantly saying what type of students they're looking for. This is our job. This is what we do. I would imagine that some of those fellows you saw on the previous slide, those will be some of our future speakers once they've established their careers as well. And I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to that. So that's that. Thank you.
Would let me unmute. We're going to open it up. We have about 6 minutes, and the 4 of us are here. We are happy to take your questions and excited to hear what you want to know. I know we just threw a lot of information The other suggestion that I got from a counselor at a visit I did the other day was go ahead and screenshot this page so that you have all our contact information, so you don't have to like scribble it down right now. I'm making the assumption on our professors' hats because I didn't actually ask them, but that they would be very happy for you to email them. And I know those of us on the admission side as well, that we're here, we're your supports, we're your go-tos. Even if it's not specific to our institutions, please let us know, because we are, we're here tonight to represent all of the colleges that change lives. So I'm not seeing questions come in. Come on, y'all. This is your time to ask the questions, to be engaged. When else do you get to sit with two faculty members from two very different, but also similar schools, and ask them whatever you want about their programs or about other things? Wonderful. All right. So the first question that has come in, thank you, was discussing curriculum around specific majors like marketing. So I don't know who wants to take that.
Yeah, I can take that. You have the ability as a business major, at least at Allegheny College, where you can take a whole bunch of different business majors. Now, it may say econ, 225 or something like that, but that could be a marketing class. A lot of liberal arts colleges will have economics professors, they'll have management professors, marketing, accounting. So, and all of those will go into the requirements for business to some extent. At Allegheny College, we keep it rather broad, in that if you want to take a lot of classes in accounting, that's perfectly fine. If you want to have a career in accounting, then you would speak with your advisor and kind of plan those courses more towards accounting. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question.
I would also just add that oftentimes people that are interested in marketing might actually find that they're a psychology major at a liberal arts college, or a communication and cultural studies major with a business minor. So there's really, at a liberal arts college like ours, and probably most of the other CTCL schools, you're not bound to your major because of what you want to do. It's really about your experiences, so that you would do, say, for instance, an experience, an internship within marketing to help better define where you want to go with that.
Fantastic. Our next question kind of goes along that same route, but can you receive the breadth of courses at a liberal arts school that you can at a business school? So Davika.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to take the first shot at that one. So absolutely. I think liberal arts schools live and breathe breadth. Like, that is sort of our core competency. And so I think I can answer your question two ways in terms of all of your curriculum. So I think at a liberal arts school, you'll have all of your business courses and economics courses, but you can take a lot of classes in other areas, more flexible probably than you could at a business school. And again, there's no right fit for it, depends on the student. However, if you're talking about across business courses specifically, which may have been your question. So if I go to a business school, will I have more finance courses available to me than finance courses at liberal arts? Well, it depends on how you define finance courses, and I'm not trying to be nitpicky at all. What I mean by that is, so in terms of courses that start with FIN, finance, maybe you might have more finance courses at a business school. I would think probably. But if you think about, so if I want to be an investment banker or a policy analyst, what courses do I need to take to really be well prepared for a career in finance? I think you'll find all the core finance classes across our different sectors. And I see Tim nodding. So classes like capital markets, money, finance, and banking, all of those classes. But I think what you'll also find is, oh, I probably need a computer science class. I probably need a psychology class, because as we know, we in economics, we learn everybody's rational, but the stock market does not move up and down with rational thought only. So understanding investor psychology would be useful. So I think you'll get a breadth of classes, and a very long-winded to your very great question, you'll also get all of the same core finance classes that you need. You may not get one or two electives that are more specific to business school. Tim, I don't know if you wanted to jump in.
Yeah, maybe just 30 seconds here. One thing I would also say is that you have the ability at a lot of liberal arts colleges is to kind of tailor the type of class that you want to take, whether that be through an independent study or through doing research. One of the things that we do is that we have a senior project that every student has to write in order to graduate. And that's where you have the chance to really focus in on the things that you didn't maybe get in the classroom, but you really want to tackle. So I would also throw that out.
And I would throw out internships as well. You know, even if you're not taking a specific course in that, internships are a great way to learn on the job. And these guys, as was mentioned in the presentation, have amazing connections with alums who have gone on to do really cool things. And I think one of the things that you do find at a liberal arts school, having worked at 3 colleges that change lives now, I can tell you that every single time that I meet an alum from any of them, it's, oh my God, I want to give back. I want to be a part of that community. It's not just, oh, I went there and it was okay. It's very much a, this is my home, this is my people. And so I think that's one of the distinctions that you'll find at a liberal arts school as well, is very much that home feeling where people want to give back and be a part of things. I think that ends our time for the evening. I want to say a giant thank you to our panelists and a special thank you to the folks who came out on a Sunday night. We appreciate you so much, and thanks for your questions and your time, and we look forward to continuing to work with you through your college search process.
Yes, thank you,
Great.
everyone.
Thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you to our panelists for your time this evening. When you close this window and the presentation ends, there will be a link to a quick 4-question survey. We'd appreciate any feedback that you may have. Also, this was just one of many sessions being hosted, so please feel free to sign up for additional ones as the week continues. And in about a week, in the same location where you registered for this panel, you'll find a recording of this and all other sessions. Thanks again and have a great evening.